In this video, I'm going to draw this thing, which is a little bit of a storybook style illustration. I'm going to be doing it on watercolor paper with a 2B pencil from start to finish. This is an art ritual video, which means it's just a hangout, chill, you can draw with me, do whatever you want, leave me some cool comments down below. It is a longer, normal drawing codex style video. It's not fast paced, it's not heavily edited. Think of it just as a hangout and chill / slight drawing lesson. I'm going to talk about the thoughts that I have as I'm creating this, and we can just hang out and draw. Hopefully that sounds interesting. Hopefully you'll join me. Let's jump in and get started. Alright, welcome to the Drawing Codex. My name is Tim Mcburnie. I've been a professional working artist for over 20 years, and on this channel, we're all about drawing cool stuff from our imagination, embracing the challenge of drawing, and mastering the craft of line and color illustration. Now, if you'd like to learn more about illustration and picture making, you can check out my free illustration mini workshop. It charts my journey going from an amateur to a professional, and I talk a lot about really important issues such as how to get more detail and polish in your work, how to plan your images, create thumbnails, and also a few thoughts on how to approach being a professional artist. As I said, it's free. The link will be in the description. Go check it out if that's something you're interested in. All right. Here we are at the drawing table. Now, just going to do a simple art ritual sketching session today. I'm on deadline, so that normally means that, again, I'm just going to try and do something fun and a little bit simpler from my end in terms of, not necessarily going through some crazy tutorial. I'm going to sit down, hang out, and do some drawing. Now, I have a thumbnail that I was playing around with. Here you can see this is the plan. Now, the drawing I'm going to be doing is not going to be super detailed. And the tools I've got are some Fabriano Artistico bright white watercolor paper, which is a pretty good 100% cotton paper. And I've got some Tombow pencils. So this is just a normal Tombow Mono 2B. And if I get around to it, I might have some Tombow Mono 100 5B action later on, but we'll see. Yeah, I forget what this paper will be like. So yeah, often, again, the most important thing with tools is to figure out the pencil and paper combo. So the way I'm going to sort of transfer this is really just to look at just roughly putting in, and this will be pretty light, and I'll swap to just so you can just see me, and we'll put this little thumbnail here so we can see it a little bit better. But yeah, what I'm going to be doing is just trying to place most of these elements. And see if I can get them all in the right kind of spot. And I'm just going to use the border of the actual bit of paper as the actual border. Got this over here. Got this thing going here. Right. Boom. And yeah, might be drawing a little bit bigger. So I might not get this space here, but I think this will be okay. So you can already see 2B is like pretty, on this particular paper, 2B is looking pretty intense and dark. So might have to pay attention to that, but we'll see. We'll see how we go. And so again, it's hard to see what the thumbnail is, but what we're dealing with is a little character here. I think I'm going to move him a little bit more this way. So I have a little character here. And he is collecting berries. So a bit more of like a younger audience style storybook style image, a little bit different to, some of the other stuff you might have seen me do. But yeah, we'll see how we progress with this. And we'll have to use a fair bit of erasing, I think. Got this sort of weird beak. Thing. Right, here we go. Saddle. So I'm just putting in the rough marks. Now, there's a huge variety of ways that you could do this. And probably what I recommend from a implementation standpoint, I think there's two key things you could do here. One is that from an implementation standpoint, as in the thing that will give you the most reliable effect is to trace this. So this is where you would get a light box or some other kind of thing, and you would do your little sketch, and your sketch is working well. And once it's kind of working well, not sure quite what's happening with this, where he's kind of standing. But yeah, once it's kind of working well, you just scan it, print it, blow it up, put it over a light box, and then you do this phase here on your light box. And I think that's going to give you the most reliable thing early on. This is how I did most of my sort of comics, sort of back in the day when I was doing them all traditionally. Yeah, very, very simple process. So I've got a little character here. The thing that will help you to draw the most, though, that will make you improve the fastest, is to try and tackle this like I'm doing here, where you're kind of looking at the thumbnail and you're trying to figure out how to get it to transfer without that other stuff. That is what will help you to improve. Hopefully, the reason why should be pretty obvious, but basically being able to think about how these things transfer over and use your eye, right, to really go in there and, be like, oh, is it a bit this way? Is it a bit that way? What's going on? To really get that working well is something that will help all of your drawing. So I kind of resisted this for the longest time, right? This idea of, actually just trying to draw it. And the thing that's, I guess, interesting, I think I'm going to put this down here. The other thing that's interesting is that I feel like we often try and avoid this thing of trying to replicate the drawing, because often our sketch is kind of good and right, we're like worried that we're going to mess it up. But it's actually one of the best things to practice your drawing. And the other thing is that often, you may really feel like that, that there's something special to the sketch and you want to, right, you want to preserve that. But from my experience, the sketch doesn't actually have that much super useful information. It often feels like it does, but in reality, it's just, it's limited is what it is. All right, so we got our kind of nose here, got our character here. little goblin creature. Yeah, and I'll sort of check the perspective of all of this in a minute. Boom. See, it had a slight different design for these kind of weird bird creature-y things. This guy's looking a little bit evil. Not quite sure about that. Boom. Boom. Yeah, so just still playing around. Let's see. Put something up here. I also had a few leaves going down here. And here I think is where we're going to run into the most kind of problem, is we've sort of got this character. The thing behind him is kind of all over the place. So I'm going to make sure we at least have some kind of don't know whether that makes sense there. Yeah, make sure I've got some kind of visibility on what's actually happening. To this, oh, yeah, to this character's leg behind there. So that's a major thing I'm going to try and make clear, but probably have to wait till we're sort of, pretty far through this thing. So yeah, I'm sort of getting like a pretty clean line. So this is not, the drawing ritual videos that I do are not necessarily a how to, draw series. It's just me drawing and sharing some tips that I feel like maybe are a little bit more practical from a, again, implementation standpoint, right? Like how do I actually do these things? But yeah, because this is not necessarily how we should learn to draw. I'm just kind of drawing. And again, I have been drawing comics because I'm on comic deadline this week. So what that means is I'm not sort of running into this blind like I normally am, right? Often I'll kind of say as I'm doing an art ritual video, hey, need to warm up. Not really going well. Whereas in this case, let's get this up and see if I can just check that it's actually looking all right. Boom. So again, I'm just gonna, let me see if I can refocus this guy a little bit more so you can see it. And I'm just gonna draw like this for a little bit. So again, apologies if this is a little bit harder to see. Still getting used to the new setup I have for this. Yeah, I don't know about that. Looks a bit creepy. But maybe that's right. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying. So I guess the bottom line of being a little bit more sort of warmed up is I'm just sort of drawing things and not sketching around quite as much because my eye is kind of tuned in. All right, what do we got here? What am I doing? So I really like this paper. I've always liked this paper, the Fabriano Artistico Bright White. I've always found it to be a very good watercolor paper to use. Let's get this guy's face sorted. And I've tried quite a bit of watercolor paper, and again, there's nothing necessarily sort of special about it, right? Like, I just found it kind of the texture, just the way it kind of responds is like pretty good. I've never really used it for actual watercolor. Might have to do that at some point. But yeah. Again, I think I need to give this guy his Goblin and some eyebrows. So this is getting a bit blunt. Let's get a sharper one. Boom, so he's kind of reaching for this. And maybe we'll again give him some kind of backpack or something there. But yeah, we've got to get this tangent here, back here, sorted. But yeah, normally in the past when I've used this, I have used it with much lighter pencils. So this is giving me a nice line, but yeah, it's pretty rough. But because it's 100% cotton, the paper, that means we can just basically keep erasing to infinity. Let's see if that will actually happen. Where did I put the eraser? See if we can get rid of this. Get rid of that. I feel like we're complicating the silhouette a little bit too much. All right. So yeah, got to tell the story of what's happening to this character. So got this in front. Got this here. That's there. Got this bag. Let's erase this other bag. What? Boom. All right, there we go. So we got one kind of claw here. And then I think another kind of claw here, maybe. Oh, can't quite see those. There we are. Yeah, I think we're okay in terms of the overall look here. So we can probably switch back. Switch back here. Yeah. Well, all right, so we got these in the foreground. I'll probably hit those last. And might be a good idea to get some kind of, let's get a small bit of paper so I can cover up some of the stuff as we start to play around more. All right. So I also want it to make it clear that there are like lots of these berries that they're picking in these bags here. So again, I'm deviating strongly from any kind of realistic saddle here, just playing around. But yeah, maybe we can think about something that looks a little bit more interesting. Boom. All right, so we got this. It's going down there. That is going there. And here. So yeah, we can think about shading this under there. Yeah. Oh, it's a weird looking thing, Tim. What are you drawing? What's the point here? Yeah, I mean that feels a bit more. I mean it feels more stylized. I don't know whether it's yeah, who knows. So yeah, I guess in terms of like sort of why this drawing would exist, and I think like my sort of reason for this type of thing to exist would be much more as a like a development drawing sort of thing. It's like not something that's super quick. The idea is we do probably a bunch of these and just see how a particular thing would look. Well, all right, what do we got here? Got this thing. Let's add some visual complexity. Get some overlaps. That's not that well drawn. I'm kind of running out of sharp pencils here. See that here? It's got this tail here. Boom. That isn't going to be that well drawn or kind of fully realized. We're going to probably want to push this branch. All right. Boom. make it a little bit darker later on. So yeah, I'm not adding tone because I feel like this particular paper could make life really hard. I think it's just going to take a lot of graphite, so it's going to get super dark and smudgy if I don't keep it under control. So I'll just hit it a bit darker later on with some tone and stuff. This thing coming here. Boom. Yeah, just trying to get a certain amount of visual complexity there with all these different bits and pieces. Right, we want this to kind of be all right. So yeah, they're about this size. I feel like this kind of image would actually benefit a lot from color. It's probably going to struggle. What happens if we do hit it with a bit of tone? Is it going to separate or not? Separate from the background enough? I think here. Boom. All right, what do we have in the thumbnail? Where did that thumbnail go? Completely disappeared. Here it is. What else do we have? And then this is where, you can obviously deviate from the thumbnail, but it does become exceedingly useful when we kind of have this. Like, what's next, right? So I feel like, having this real strong line here, super important. All right, the other major thing we've got is this. Got this thing here, and I did have a little block of text that seemed like it was gonna be useful. And then we also had look like a big old tree trunk in the background here. So you can see, I guess one of the things we could kind of talk about here is like this, right? The illusion of complexity, which is just a matter of, constantly overlapping forms. Now, with a quick sort of pencil drawing like this, I guess you could, if you, had a style that would support it, this could be the basis for a nice little sort of children's book style. And you could probably stop there, or you wouldn't need to take it that much further. And if this, the reason I mention that is like, look, if this, visual complexity here is all you need, you might not need to go much further. But a lot of what's happening here is it's also not detail, it's pattern. So I have pattern that's going this way, and then I have a lot of these sort of other lines that are going in different directions. So the pattern, which is one of those old school drawing concepts, right? That, like, I feel like I completely didn't care about. You know, the kind of thing you'd learn about in high school. It's like, oh, you've got pattern and texture, and look at how this is happening. And I'd be like, I just want to draw manga. This seems completely pointless, right? But so many of those concepts are actually, you know, included in, you know, in things like manga and inking and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so it's not necessarily going to be tonal, I guess is the point of what I'm saying. That doesn't have to be tonal separation, like a value separation. I don't necessarily have to push and make everything super dark or light, but what we do want to make sure is that we have directional contrast between some of these patterns. So again, I've got these trees going here, I've got this going here, right? This one's going there. So you have very basic, right? Like this would be the best way of sort of describing what I'm talking about. Right, we have, you know, so you have areas of rest, and this sort of separates out all those different areas. Even if we're not gonna, you know, punch it heaps, you could still leave this quite light, and you would probably get a lot of the effect, just because we have contrasting patterns there. Boom. A little bit of subtle tracing of the form to help us understand what's going on. So again, using exactly that concept there to kind of blend it off. Boom, boom. So I keep working this, and I'm not meant to. Don't know what's going on there. Right. That distance. Got some more of these. This pencil's getting kind of blunt too, so I've got to watch that. Yeah, actually, let me go sharpen. Oh, I might have here's a sharp one. Another 2B that's sharp. Probably too sharp for that. So yeah, we kind of got, what do we got happening? Need to get rid of this. This is not going to help us. This little mark here. You know, I feel like that can kind of work, right? I feel like we have enough negative space here. Oh. So I'm going to keep doing this, keep rotating this pencil. I feel like we have enough negative space that it kind of is going to allow things to breathe. So I might just add a bit more stuff, and then we'll just try and leave this open a little bit. So again, I'm going to keep using this to kind of punch some of those darker darks, and I need to rework this main character basically. and some of this other stuff. So yeah, this is mostly good opportunity for me to draw leaves. Yeah, and I think like if you don't get too lost with the watercolor paper, I've always found this to be quite forgiving. Now doing it with a 2B is like I think it's just going to be very hard to get a lot of fidelity. So, you know, what I would kind of notice is, you know, if I was going to do a comic book page that needed a lot of detail and I was using this type of pencil, I you know, this would need to be like one panel, right? Which you can do just because of the amount of detail that I'm sort of able to get here is not that much with this type of pencil. So we kind of would have normally this. We could try that, right? That leg's going back there. This aspect of it's pretty flaky, right? What's actually happening with the legs of that creature? All right. I feel like that we're kind of working all right here. Just continually punching some of these. See if adding a bit of stuff to these will help. All right. Okay. Let's again, just a sketch. We're getting there. Let's see if we can rework this little guy's face a little bit. Let's go. Sharper pencil. See if I can jump in there and just kind of push that aspect of it a little bit more. Whoop. Grab my bit of paper. All right. So again, there's nothing really that kind of needs to be majorly changed. What I'm going to try and do, and hopefully this paper will sort of allow me to do this, is, yeah, really see if I can sort of take some of it back and just sort of try and clean it up, right? We had a lot of overlap and other things, and it would be good to just make sure that the hierarchy of detail with the character's face is sort of working. And also just clarify some of those little costume details. So he's kind of got ears. Right, got a big kind of head here. Just wanting to kind of push some of these shapes a bit. Might have to go in there and do another pass. This is typically the kind of process I use when I'm working this way. Just trying to get the shapes right. But yeah, typically it's a lot of like put some stuff in. Let's erase it out. Boom. So I'm going to simplify. Simplify this a little bit. And this is where it's really good to, know your characters well, right? It's very easy at this stage to kind of overwork this kind of thing. So again, there's a bunch of different erasers that you could use for this. There's a bunch of different erasers that I own, but I really think it is good to just keep it simple, right? If I just keep this one little pencil and kneadable eraser, means everything else is going to be a little bit simpler. So I just want this to be slightly different shape. To the ears. These kind of. There we go. And yeah, I think having both little eyebrows up is like a slightly better look. So it's often, it's like these little expressive changes are often what is going to make the difference. And it's very easy to, through the process of refining and figuring them out, to kind of mess up, right? Like it's very easy doing this to kind of ruin the whole look of it. So you do have to be careful. And it's also easy to like overdo the hierarchy of detail and the contrast. So, as we're sort of building this, like one of the areas where we can sort of see that, we're starting to get a lot of focus is on this hair, right? And the hair really doesn't need to or want to be there. And the same with this, right, sort of bag, right? Like there's a lot of visual complexity there. There's a lot of stuff there. And I really want his hand to read nicely. Boom. Right, so if we get this shape a bit better sorted, then I think I can worry a little bit less about what is behind it. Boom. Sorry, it was a bit out of focus there for a minute. There we go. Again, good to just define the form here a little bit. And this here is, oh, can't see that. Yeah, just drawing his foot there. But yeah, I think that's kind of getting there, right? Let's still stay zoomed up, but this time we'll go flat. I'll just kind of finish it off. So yeah, just trying to focus on this focal area. And yeah, probably, don't need to go much further. We're probably pretty much done with this. Just a quick one, right? Just quick sketching. But yeah, just seeing if I can just pull some extra focus around here. So I'm trying not to like do too much of like drawing a line. I'm trying to do something I actually mentioned in that video about teeth, which is like probably in retrospect not a good place to put that concept, but I thought it was like a fun idea at the time, but making sure that we don't necessarily flatten everything out like I kind of have just done, and make sure that you're just drawing a line around everything. You want to kind of pick up some areas, right, and keep it simple, right? So we kind of push some little areas, we put a little bit of detail here, or even, again, I'm sort of doing a line. I want to make some of it feel kind of darker, right? We don't necessarily have to like hit it super hard. I can just choose some little bits of it. Boom, boom. But yeah, I think we're pretty much done. So yeah, just a simple art ritual video this week. Let me know if this one is kind of helping out. Again, the idea behind these kind of videos is just to be like, hey, in order to get better, we all need to be sketching. We all need to be just turning up, creating art. And I think it's really important to, make a ritual out of creation. And even though, I'm sort of on deadline and I'm like, I should be drawing comics, right? The comic I'm drawing is sci-fi, and I haven't drawn anything like this for a while. And there's something cathartic about it where, I kind of make this thing and then I can put it up. That's kind of interesting, right? It does make me happier in some ways. To be doing this kind of work, right? Because I rarely do this sort of storybook work these days. I used to do a lot of this stuff. I spent a good portion of my sort of early years thinking that probably one of the things I could do would be, storybook illustration. Just because I just didn't really know anyone doing comics or concept art or anything at the time. It seemed like more of an actual kind of possibility. But yeah, simple little drawing. What are we? We're probably at 45 minutes, something like that, for the video, which I think is like a good time. I think like kind of half an hour, 45 minutes, good little kind of sketching session, see what you can get done. Yeah, let me know how your sketching is going in the comments down below. I have some more sort of teaching things about composition. Got a couple of cool sort of idea teaching videos about composition, and yeah, might start to hit some more sort of anatomy style stuff as well in the coming weeks and months. But yeah, anyway, that's all I've got for this one. Hey, it's a little sort of drawing. Let's see if we can get it over here. Yeah, just playing around. Might be good to take this into Photoshop. Let me know if that's a video you'd like to see. Take this into Photoshop, add some simple color. Super simple line and color process is always good. But yeah, probably I'd say this 2B pencil, bit dark. Probably should have started with maybe a B, and then gone up to this one. I didn't even get to, right, didn't even get to this one. I feel like this will just be absolute mayhem if I try and hit it too hard with this. Boom. Yeah, you can see that's just going to go even darker. But yeah, anyway, that's all I've got for this one. Let me know, whether this was sort of helpful, whether you got any sort of thoughts, things I should draw next. And other than that, we'll catch you around. Happy drawing.